I know what happened. You wanted to rock out, you wanted to play the guitar, so you picked one up, and now you're playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, and you're hoping that you can play, you're hoping that you'll be able to play It Should Be Coming Around the Mountain next week. But that's not why you picked up the guitar. You wanted to rock out. You wanted to feel the power of this electric guitar, this instrument. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's take a look at Metallica, For Whom the Bell Tolls, one of the best to learn how to play heavy music. Children inside, shouting gun, all they run through the air is brave. All they fight for the right, yes, but who's to say? For a hill men would kill, why they do not know. Stubborn wounds test their pride. Men of lives to the lives with a raging low, gone insane from the pain that they surely know. For whom the bell tolls, time marches on. For whom the bell tolls. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to need to know to play heavy music, or just kind of electric guitar in general, is fifth chords. They're often called power chords as well. The first one that we're going to learn is the first one that we're going to have to play in this song. It's going to look like this. It'll be the second fret of the low E with your first finger, and on the next two strings it'll be 2 frets higher, so the fourth fret with your third finger and your pinky. So now this obviously has no open strings in it, so it's a movable chord, and you can do a lot with this. So you'll be able to play a lot with this once you get used to it. The other version of it is an open chord, an open fifth chord, so it'll be the open E string, and then the second fret of the A and the D. Usually I play it with my first finger, just kind of bar those two. A lot of people, when they're starting, play it like this, like an E minor chord. So between that, now it's important to note that with fifth chords, power chords, whatever you'd like to call them, you can use this exact same shapes, also one string higher on the A. So that's going to be the basic shape with which we're going to be learning all of the rhythm parts for this song and for a lot of Metallica songs, a lot of Nirvana songs, stuff like that. So the first thing that we're going to need to add to that is palm mutes. And if you're not familiar with palm mutes, it's taking this kind of like fleshy part of your fretting hand and you slide it over right where the strings starts to vibrate on the other side. So this string is vibrating up to here. You can see how I'm muting that sound with my hand. So this is that. You go too far and you don't get the note. But this is where you can do a lot of dynamic stuff with this. This is going to take some time to get used to. Every hand is different, every bridge is different, every guitar is different. So it'll take a little bit of time to get used to. But once you get used to that, being prepositionally aware is something about which I'm pretty proud. I just want to take a quick moment to note that this song is called For Whom the Bell Tolls, and not Who the Bell Tolls For. Now that we've gone over the foundational aspects of playing this, let's take a look at the rhythm parts from easiest to hardest, and then we'll take a look at the lead parts for as much of the song as I've shown you. So the first one is going to be the intro, and it's going to start off with that first power chord that I showed you, 2nd fret of the E. And we're going to palm mute it. We're just going to play it twice. And we're going to play it twice again. And then that open E. So that's... Yep. So once you get used to that, we'll take a look at the verse, which starts off with that open E. Then it's going to go to the 3rd fret. And it stops for a bit. Then open E again. 3rd fret, and then 8th, and 5th. So altogether that verse is break. Now one of the things that I think is really helpful to learn here when you're learning this song is that after that break, when you go back to that open E, you can do a slide. Some people do a pick slide if they want to be really dramatic about it, but it can build a lot in your music. It's not really a note that you're playing, but it's some dynamics that you can add to it. So getting used to doing that slide before you play the first note of the next part of a song can be really, really helpful in terms of building dynamics and making it feel more like a song, not a collection of riffs. So the next thing we're going to look at is the chorus, and it's going to take advantage of a lot of the palm muting. And the basic picking pattern for it's going to be this. So if your picking isn't quite there yet, you can practice just that rhythm for a while. And then what we'll do is that last note, da-da-da, we're going to replace that with power chords. So we'll replace that with the 3rd and 5th, and then back to the 3rd again. So that's... And that's the most of the first part of the chorus. And then we'll do a power chord on the 1st fret of the A, and then move that down to the 1st fret of the E. So that's the first half of the chorus. Looks like this. And then the second time is almost the same. Those first two are the same. And then the last time we go, so we add 2 open notes after that, a G, or the 3rd fret. And then we just go 1, 2, 1. That's time march. That's time marches. So the next part is part of the intro, and it is probably the hardest to play if you're just getting started with this stuff. So we're going to take a look at the basic structure of it, and then we'll look at ways to build it up if it's kind of difficult to begin with. And it's all based on this. Very similar to the chorus, it's kind of this repeating part where the end is a little bit different each time that it repeats. So it's really just on the low E, 0, 3, 2, 1. So it's we'll call that chromatic if you're not familiar with that. There's no skipping of frets. It just kind of goes frets in order, 3, 2, 1, 0 basically. But it plays those as 5th chords and palm muted. So it does that 3 times. And then the 4th time it goes 0, 2, 3, and then the A. And then it repeats, so 3 times. And then the 8th time it goes 0, 2, 3, and then 2 on the A, which would be a B. So the whole thing together looks like this. the most difficult thing that we've looked at thus far. So if you're building up to it, your power chords aren't there yet, your palm muting isn't there, you can play it with just single notes. And then once you get that down, that's really the bass line. Then once you get that down, you can start adding the first of the power chord notes. So instead of playing all 3 strings, you just play 2. And then you can finally add that D string, or the 3rd note, the pinky note. Once you've got that down, we can take a look at the lead parts. Now the intro lead part doubles the bass. It's the open E string. And then we do a chromatic run from the 10th fret of the high E down to the 7th. And then it's just 8-7 on the B. And go back to the 10 on the high E. And then just 7-6 on the G. Repeats that out. And then the last lead part I love because it's part of the intro and it's almost exactly an exercise. And it's this. So you can see I'm alternate picking that down, up the whole time. It's palm muted, slightly palm muted, not as heavily as the rhythm parts. And it's really, the core of it is 12, 9, 11. So if you practice that on just the G string, and then the second time you get up to the 12, you just move it down to the D string. Now, one of the things I love about this song is these parts are, they're difficult enough when you're getting started, but once you learn how to play them, the parts make sense, the riffs make sense, but stringing them all together, especially the way that the song builds, it helps really illustrate how transitions are really important in terms of building the song. And this part is basically looped for like 40 seconds, and so it builds almost as an exercise built inside of the song. Hey, so if you've stuck around this long, I'd appreciate a subscribe or a follow or whatever. Quick moment of appreciation for the great Kirk. He is obviously the lead guitarist for Metallica and has always stayed, from my perspective, true to himself. His playing has always served the song. His techniques and his note choices have changed throughout the years, and it's worth seeing how a player of that caliber develops. Also, all of the media I found with and or about him has been really positive, and he's really great. So another thing is, if you're going to continue to play heavy, aggressive music, and there's no reason to not, I'm going to say that, like, rock out if you gotta, but just recognize that it can do a couple things for you. You know, like, it can be one of, if not the most healthy way to get out those types of feelings of aggression or anger in a way that doesn't emotionally or physically damage anything in your blast radius. But it can also amplify those within yourself. And music is a two-way street. If you're looking into the void, sometimes it's looking back at you. And what I always say, like, you got to play the music. You can't let the music play you. So if you start feeling it amplify the negative feelings in yourself, it might be time to explore some other techniques or some other styles of music, or just your relationship with music in general. I've seen people fall into that trap, and it can be pretty destructive in your life. So just be careful with it. It's an awesome tool, you know, but it is just that. It's a tool. It depends on how you're going to use it. That said, I want to say thank you to my patrons that help make everything happen. I would love it if you would join us over on the Patreon, patreon.com/tinynormous. I would love a subscribe. If you have any questions, just drop me a line. I'm easy to find online. Cheers.